Good to have you back. Now that you can read a question properly, this outcome is all about turning that understanding into a finished piece of writing, planning it, writing it, and presenting it in the right shape. Once the question's clear, building your answer happens in 3 stages: plan, write, present. First, you devise a detailed plan, then you use it to write something coherent and logical, and finally you present it in the format the task asks for, an essay, say, or a report. The lovely thing is that a good plan makes the writing so much easier, because by then you're only choosing words, not still deciding what to say. Planning takes a big, daunting task and breaks it into small, manageable steps. It keeps your answer on the question and in a sensible order, and it helps you balance things so no point runs too long or too short. Best of all, it lets you spot a gap in your evidence now, at the planning stage, rather than halfway through paragraph 4. Time spent planning is never wasted. It pays you back in clearer, faster writing. A few words to have straight. A plan is a short outline of what each part will contain and in what order. A key point is a main idea that supports your answer. A counterargument is a point for the opposite view that you then respond to. And signposting is the little phrases that guide your reader through words like however or in addition that act like road signs. One popular way to plan is a mind map. Put the question in the center and branch out to each part of the answer: introduction, key points, counterarguments, examples, conclusion. Because it's all on one page, you can see the balance of your essay at a glance. That said, some people much prefer a simple numbered list or a table, and that's absolutely fine. Use whatever helps you think. If you'd like a framework to follow, here's one. Start from your earlier analysis, the command word, topic, and scope. Note how you'll open and how you'll close. Choose 3 or 4 key points and make sure at least one covers the opposite view. Add an example or 2 of evidence to each and jot down the linking phrases and sources you'll use. Follow that, and your plan does most of the heavy lifting. There's genuinely no single correct way to plan, so pick the tool that suits you and the task. A linear outline is just a numbered list of points in order. A mind map branches ideas out from the question. A table puts point, evidence, and source in neat columns. And some people swear by sticky notes, 1 idea per note, shuffled into an order. Try a few and see what clicks. A quick important word on AI tools. Used well, and if your college allows it, AI can suggest a structure or act as a critical friend, checking your plan actually covers the question. Used badly, letting it write the answer for you, it stops being your own work. Always check what it produces against your real sources, because it can be confidently wrong. And if you use it at any stage, be ready to declare it, which we'll come to in the next outcome. Let's sketch a real plan for. Discuss whether social media is the best way for a small cafe to attract new customers. The introduction defines social media marketing and sets the cafe scene. Point 1, it's cheap and reaches local people. Think Instagram photos of the daily specials. Point 2, it builds a loyal community through comments and shares. Then a counter-argument, word of mouth and a good location might matter more, and not everyone uses social media. The conclusion lands on it helps, but works best alongside good service, and you'd note sources like Bailey, 2018. Almost every response has the same 3 parts: an introduction, a body of key points, and a conclusion. The introduction opens outward from the question to set up your answer. Each body paragraph makes 1 point and backs it with evidence. And the conclusion pulls everything back together to actually answer the question. Introduction, body, conclusion. It's a shape worth trusting. A good introduction quietly tells the reader what's coming and how. Briefly define the key terms from the question and state the overall line you're going to take. Keep it short though, just a few sentences that set a direction. It's a doorway into the essay, not a summary of everything inside it. The golden rule for the body is 1 point per paragraph. Open with a topic sentence that states the point clearly, then support it with evidence, an example, or a reference. After that, explain how the point actually answers the question before you move on. A really handy pattern for this is PEEL, point, evidence, explain, link. Let's unpack PEEL properly. The point is your topic sentence, the main idea of the paragraph. The evidence is a fact, example, statistic, or reference that backs it up. Explain is where you show how that evidence supports the point and answers the question. And link is a closing sentence that connects to the next point or back to the question. 4 moves and every paragraph earns its place. Strong academic writing looks at more than one side. A counter-argument is simply a point for the opposing view, which you then respond to. Signal it clearly with something like, however, some would argue that, or on the other hand. Showing you've genuinely weighed both sides makes your final conclusion far more convincing, and higher command words like discuss and evaluate actually expect it. Here's PEEL in the flesh on our cafe question. Point, social media is a low-cost way for a small cafe to reach local customers. Evidence, it can post photos of daily specials to hundreds of local followers for free. Explain, because it costs so little, even a cafe on a tight budget can advertise regularly and stay in people's minds. Link, but reaching people online only helps if the cafe gives them a reason to visit, which takes us neatly to service. Notice every sentence is doing a job, there's no filler. Your conclusion draws the key points together and gives a clear answer to the question. Echo the question's wording so the reader can see you've actually answered it. Don't slip in new information or fresh evidence here that belongs in the body. And for evaluate or discuss questions, this is exactly where you state your overall judgment. Coherence just means the whole thing reads as one connected argument, not a scatter of separate facts. Put your points in a logical order so each one builds on the last, and use linking words to guide the reader along. To add a point, reach for furthermore or moreover, to contrast however or on the other hand, to wrap up therefore or overall. Those little words are the glue. Now, essay versus report, they're two different animals. An essay is continuous prose, linked paragraphs flowing from introduction to conclusion, with few or no headings, and it's common in the humanities and in discussion questions. A report is divided into labelled sections. You might have a summary, findings and recommendations, and it can use headings, numbered points, even tables. Reports are the norm in business, science, and the workplace. To compare them side by side, an essay is intro, body and conclusion, headings rarely, bullet points avoided, and a formal flowing tone, good for discussion and argument. A report uses sections with headings, bullet points where they help, and a concise, factual tone, good for investigations and recommendations. Same formality in both, but the layout is quite different. Your tutor sets the format as part of the task, so always check the instructions first. Use whatever fits the subject, essays for discussion, reports for investigations, and keep it consistent, without drifting between styles halfway through. And a reminder, if AI helps you draft or organize anything, you'll need to declare it. Remember, the right content in the wrong format still loses marks, so confirm the format before you start. Picture a learner presenting findings on why a cafe should use social media. As an essay, it's flowing paragraphs that argue the case with no headings. As a report, it's sections, introduction, findings, recommendations, each clearly labelled. The evidence underneath is identical. It's the layout, headings, and tone that change to fit the format. Choosing the format your tutor asked for is part of answering well. So, pulling this outcome together, build your response in 3 stages: plan, write, then present in the right format. A detailed plan follows a framework. Consider the question, note your opening and closing, Choose key points and a counterpoint, then add evidence and sources. Write an introduction, body and conclusion, using peel and linking words for flow. Include the other side, finish with a conclusion that answers the question, and use any AI planners openly and responsibly. And that's the second outcome done. You can now plan, write, and present a coherent response in the right shape. To take it further, the reading on screen is well worth a look. Stephen Bailey's Academic Writing Handbook is especially strong on structure, and the Manchester Academic Phrase Bank gives you ready-made phrases for introductions and conclusions. There are worked essay examples with tutor feedback too, if seeing a finished piece helps it click. Have a browse before you sit down to draft your own assignment.